Was always independent, but almost had a record deal a few times. So
I yanked up that door and I bolted up that hill and just smashed into him, knocked him off of you.
in all my career, I was an actual employee. One time, I went from making, a decent salary to within 12 months working at home and Michelle quitting her job and us building our dream home.
Hey guys, today I have a guest that you're gonna have a lot of fun with. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with. And this guy, we go way back. I say we've spent some time together. In fact, we go so far back that it's pretty much his entire life because he's my younger brother. This is my younger brother, Jeff. And it's ironic to have somebody like your brother on a podcast where you get to talk about the same topics and you've had a lot of the same experiences going down the area of health, wealth, and fulfillment. So he's got a really cool story. So you're gonna wanna lean into this one. It's gonna be interesting. He started this on his own. And we always talk about people propel prosperity. I use that all the time. And you've got a cool story where, people have been part of your journey too, stepping stone. But what I love about it is he really latched on. So I saw the whole movie in play. I've seen it over the last several decades now that you're like 32 or so. Or wait, 52?
Just much younger than you.
Just much younger than me. All right. Yeah, that's a running joke that we've had for years. 46 years old. But I saw him start and kind of work through the fields and kind of carve out his path. And it was really cool. So why don't we go way back? And let's talk about, so you had an interesting story because here you are, you have a successful software company at this point, and we'll talk about, there's much more, but we'll start there and we'll talk about how he got there. But what's interesting is where he started because they're worlds apart and this guy was aimed for fame. So tell us a little about that, going back to, what you started with and where you had that epiphany of something changing.
I started performing music in mom's basement, pretending to be Janet and Michael Jackson, as you know.
Wait, were you Janet or Michael?
I was both, depends on. Okay. Yeah, I was both, man. But yeah, I would pretend to be in front of audiences for all the time until I was a teenager.
How old were you when you started doing that? 9.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I started singing in front of people, first live audience. I was 10, 11, did talent shows and got used to being in front of people. And but I would pretend even like 15, 16 years old. You probably don't know this, when no one's home at mom's house, I'd be running around the basement like I was performing in an arena and really like visualizing, a lot of visualizing, until it got really weird because I was still, doing it to Janet Jackson songs. And then I moved to Nashville and started pursuing it professionally one time.
So you released literally some music and had a lot of songs and some remakes and stuff that was incredible. You were talented for sure. You had a lot of talent, but you discovered a whole lot about that world that was probably not what you expected.
No, I hated it. To this day, the music business is definitely a business, and it's not what people think. And living in Nashville, they call it Music City. And when you live there all alone, don't know anybody, and you're chasing your dream, you start learning how material and kind of product-oriented people are, because everybody wants to do the same thing. So it teaches a lot about economics. I really understood what supply and demand was after being a recycled, musician, artist, just like everybody else, and how labels work. And but it really taught me how to be tough and thick-skinned, and just led to me, I think, growing down the road into other things because I understood a little bit about life from doing it.
Yeah, so you did that for a while. You graduated from, was it Belmont? Mm-hmm. Belmont University. So learned a lot of lessons through there, and you finally came home.
Well, that's because I was just going to go to California and start over. I thought God was bringing me home to go chase more of a pop music career in California, but he actually brought me home, I think, to get me recentered and kind of take a new look at life. And I still pursued the music business. In fact, my most successful years were after, I don't know if you remember, but after I moved home, the next 2-3 years are when I did the best. Still went to Nashville and, was always independent, but almost had a record deal a few times. So
yeah, that's cool. Well, God always has a different plan than what we think ours is. Mm-hmm. But it did allow you to practice a lot of things that you still use today and give you a lot of talents and experience. Yeah. And we'll talk about how that kind of cross-pollinated into what you're doing today. That's kind of the big picture. Yeah. But from there, so you came back and you broke mom's heart, obviously, because, you were trying to take off and he was the baby of the family. So she's like, no, you can't go, and you came back. So you made her world. She was like happy as could be. And you started kind of getting refocused on some new plans in your life. And I think that's kind of what kind of led you to where you're at today in the software business. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that had been 10 years. I was 26 and had been through several what they call production deals in the music business. It's where they build a partial record. They try to get a record company to take it on and budget it and promote it. And I went through that so many times. By the time I was 26, Josh and Chris, my other friends, they're buying their first houses. Nice cars, and I'm living in mom's basement with $80,000 private school degree.
Feel like you're being left behind?
I feel like I was losing time.
Yeah.
And didn't have a girlfriend, never pursued girls really because of music. And I just was getting a little scared and thought, I don't know if it's worth giving any more of my life to this. And it just happened to be the same time I met Michelle, who now is my wife, obviously, and he'll be married, 19 years. 19 years this May.
Little pause there.
Yeah, I'm always off by one. It's computer programming. But there's a point where, you start realizing how valuable time is. And plus, I was starting to hate what I was learning about the business. The closer I got to success, the more I realized I didn't really want to do it in the long run.
Well, the good thing is, like I tell people all the time, if you've got to get something out of your system or if you've got to learn a lesson, isn't it best that you learn it early? Not in your 40s or something like that, so you have time to pivot.
Yeah.
Because everybody goes down these paths where, they think they want one thing, like people will go for a degree, and they go to college, they spend all this money, and they come back and they do nothing with their degree. They do something completely opposite. Happens all the time.
Yeah, especially musicians, yeah.
Yeah, so, the good thing is at least you figured it out early, but so you were always kind of a computer geek, so to speak. Not a geek, but, you were into that world, and I missed the boat because, that 7-year gap, so if I did mention, we're 7 years apart. And so I have 7 more years of wisdom, that's all. But that gap was a huge difference in that timeline of, computers and that era that was coming out. Because I remember you guys, Josh and Chris, playing on the computers and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I didn't know what the heck you were doing, but it wasn't my world. Yeah, I'm not going to say what you did.
Don't let Mom watch this one.
Yeah, we'll cut that out. Cut that out. But anyway, so it was just a world that you were coming into, but I had already stepped past because it was because of my age. And is that kind of what transitioned? Because you seem to have a little techie side, that came out and obviously, pushed all the way into the software development world that you're in today.
Well, in hindsight, I see really it was the same underlying thing that made me chase music, which is just, vision mindset. You have it, Dad always had it, and I think it's just in our blood. So I saw money. That's what I saw, a way to get out of the hole. And my computer programmer buddies, they went to school for it, were making a lot of money, and so I saw opportunity to make a lot of money and kind of rescue the years I'd lost quickly. That's actually what motivated me to do it, and I didn't think I was smart enough to do it, and spent about a year with my buddy Josh practicing things. He'd set me up to say, build this, and then even after the first couple years I got a job, I would call him for help. But after that, it just got a little easier and easier, and it'll be 28 years full-time this year. 20 years. 20 years?
Yeah. What's cool about that is, and some people either have it or they don't. And I think because they just don't have enough chase in them, enough fight in them, there's risk. A lot of people who've gone into this world or taken that route that you started with, and they never get past here. You've taken it way up here to where you get to live another whole lifestyle that some people would dream of and may never, be able to do because of the drive and the ambition to chase something and push it and grow it into something. But I always say the same thing. It's called the triple P, people propel prosperity. There's no such thing as a self-made person. Number one, we had a good influence. Our dad was an entrepreneur, and he started building a business and it gave us a picture. I don't know. Here's something I've always wondered though. Is it really that it's like in us, or was it proximity? Because are you just wired that way, or is it because you were surrounded and saw a picture of it? I wonder because our family's been really blessed. It's unusual that a couple of brothers can be successful. I mean, we've been blessed with having a lifestyle that some may not get to choose. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's both, because I know others that were in the same proximity and their decisions weren't the same. So I think it's both. I think there's personality types that are a little more headstrong. I think we're all pretty headstrong. We want something.
We're pretty laid back.
I'm pretty laid back. I mean, I remember when I was a little kid, when I wanted something for Christmas, I was working at summertime to hustle Mom to get it by Christmas.
Oh man, so you were a hustler for sure.
That unwillingness to take no, I don't know where that come from, but that started when I was a real little kid. But that's the underlying thing. But then, definitely the influence. I mean, I grew up working with you and Dad and seeing family business and seeing that, not relying on somebody else's mindset. I mean, Dad, I was just telling people the other day, I don't have any memories of Dad playing catch with the ball, kicking. And I know he worked even more when you were when you were a kid, but I don't even have very few memories like that because he worked so hard. But that definitely was a impression from us seeing it for sure.
Yeah. So I was the middle child, so
Well, you have the syndrome, yeah.
You were the favorite because you were the baby. So
you have the middle child syndrome.
You got to be the spoiled brat. But
I won't argue that.
I know. Anyway, yeah, I get that. I agree. But I still think, so what I teach people now is because I have conversations with these people who are growing businesses or younger entrepreneurs and those types of things. And I'm always assessing, and I feel like I know what it is. And I feel like most people, what it usually comes down to is they don't have clarity on what they want. So they're using the shotgun instead of a rifle. Instead of aiming at a target, they're just shooting wild and wide. And what happens is you end up 30 years old and you've bounced all over the place and you have no traction. A lot of conversations like that.
Yeah, you just kind of keep starting over with the next thing, and they never stick with things long enough to actually see it take flight.
Yeah, and at some point you start running out of time. Yeah, for something to build. So you took that to a different level. You kept growing it and turned it into a development company that ultimately has fed a higher passion.
Yeah, I mean, it changed me and my family's life. Best day of my life was the day I got fired from the one corporate job I had in all my career. I was an actual employee one time, and I got fired, and I came home so angry because I finally said, okay, I'm gonna pour into a company when I never trusted that route. And the moment I trusted, it was yanked underneath me, and that just reaffirmed that I always had the right idea, and that just motivated me. In fact, you probably don't remember this, but I talked to you right around that time, and I never forget you said, sometimes you gotta take 2 steps back to take a step forward, and that's exactly what happened. I went from making, a decent salary to within 12 months working at home and Michelle quitting her job and us building our dream home all in the same year.
Yeah, I remember that.
We kept our existing home, turned it into a first rental. It was so...
You're to fortune, baby.
Yeah, and I learned that from you. You gave me the blueprint on that. Here in the book, before the book existed, I like to say I'm part of the origin of the journey.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was Sean's test monkey on some of the... No, actually, it made it easy for me because you went through all the hard speed bumps and protected me from making the same mistakes. But our shift in 12 months, 2011, was so aggressive that extended family were confused on when they saw the house we were building.
Yeah.
And Michelle quitting her job and us not selling the home all at the same time.
They thought
I was selling drugs.
I was going to say, you're obviously selling drugs if success comes that fast.
I've always learned to watch for kind of niches or niche windows. I don't know how you say that. And at that time, the remote work thing was very hard to come by. And I knew that if I could find it, others would be dying for me to give them that work. And so that quickly turned into consultants doing the same work because I was finding the work, building too much for myself, but didn't want to throw that away. If you don't have the vision mindset, most guys that do programming, they just say, sorry, I'm busy. I'm like, well, that's money getting thrown off the table.
Yeah.
So I slowly built up guys like me that I could vet. And by 2015, I was doing that. And it's just kind of gone up and down and grown over time since with more consultants doing the same thing. That's
cool. So I always tell people, the reason I started buying real estate because I realized there wasn't this fantastic retirement package, when you're basically self-employed or in family business or something like that. So what's cool is, you have a whole portfolio of real estate as well that you've built along the way, which will be part of your retirement package that, you've just kind of gone from house to house building this up. So that's super cool because, we're always trying to tell people, look, part of the reason the passion behind the book was simple. That, hey, look, if you just buy one house, it can dramatically change your future down the road. Now, obviously, once you buy one, you're like, oh, what if I bought 2? Yeah. Oh, hey, what if I bought 4 or 5? And that grows. And that's a good thing if you can handle it, manage it, and everything else, which you do. So it was cool. But you absolutely were a piece of this book in inspiring me to write it because so many people, it was just cool because you're my baby brother. So it's cool that, I got to watch your journey too and try to, just like you said, I'm protective, even though, you could be a punk sometimes. I'm just kidding. I'm protective. So I tried to help, make sure that the things that I had seen 7 years ahead, you didn't go through the harder stuff. Not that you didn't learn your own lessons. I'm sure you have.
Yeah. No, I had to go a little deeper in it. Now I've learned a lot of lessons, but the first few years I was kind of piggybacking on, that blueprint. Kind of fake it till you make it, till you really understand what you're doing yourself. Or over time I quit having to ask you so many questions.
Yeah.
As time went on.
No, that's cool though. Remember the time I saved your life?
Which time? The first time I remember you saving my life was when...
Let's see if you're on. Hold on. So...
Courtney Hudson was on top of me.
Oh man,
like the 5th
that's
grade.
good.
And you came and tackled him and made him cry because he was about to end me in the kid behind me's backyard.
Yeah.
Because he was like twice my weight, and he didn't mess with me anymore after that. That's what you were thinking about, right?
It was good. That's good. That was funny. So
momentum,
So I'm sitting in the house, and up the hill in our backyard, there are houses back to back. So we had a little hill in the backyard, then it was the neighbor's yard right there. It was like, what grade were you in?
I was in like 5th or 6th grade.
5th or 6th grade. And as a kid, You drove me nuts, man. And I know you're just, it's a big brother thing, but that gap was a big gap during that timeline because, I was a cool teenager and I was into cars and girls and all that.
I didn't like you much part of those times.
I didn't like you much either, bro.
No, I like you now. I didn't like you much then.
Okay, yeah. No, likewise. We can agree. So, but I still saved your life. And
it wouldn't have ended well. I don't know what would happen, honestly. I was thinking about that the other day.
So that I just remember hearing the commotion.
Help!
Yeah. Did you even yell help?
I don't. No, I wasn't yelling help.
I don't think you were.
I was just laying there going, all right, what do I do now?
He was on top of you. I saw the commotion, and for some reason, I don't even know how I even knew, because the hill's up here and we're down here, so I don't know how I could have even seen you. But for some reason, I yanked up that door and I bolted up that hill and just smashed into him, knocked him off of you. So that was pretty funny. That's a good story.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that story the other day. I don't know what prompted that, but they would pick on me all the time because I was so nice to the neighborhood kids. And I don't know if I finally just tried to provoke back and outspoke my abilities. And all of a sudden he was on top of me and he was just so big I couldn't get him off.
Yeah, that was fun.
But a few years later it might have been different. But
yeah, a few years later, you hadn't hit your growth spurt yet. But that's funny. I just thought I'd throw that in there just because.
That's a fond memory of mine. I'm serious. I think of my big brother. That's one of the moments.
Well, it's funny because I always tell people, if I'm going to text somebody something and be my true self, it's going to be you. So I can 100% be myself, and we can joke and cut up and when the girls see me laugh crying, and I'm all by myself with my phone, they pretty much assume we're talking trash to each other.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool to be able to have that relationship, but it didn't start that way, obviously, because of our age gap, and all that stuff. So it's cool. Fast forward later, and what I bring that up only to encourage people that the relationships that you have, even whether it's with your siblings, can often turn into something completely different down the road, to where they could really be a support system for you. Because not only is it in the fun times or the protective times, but it's in the times where you may really need a shoulder to lean on. You may need a support for a business challenge you're going through, or hardship, or whatever else. So it's cool to have those relationships. That's some of the people, and the people propel prosperity. So you're part of that for me as well. So that's pretty cool. So outside of that, I want to talk about another piece of the puzzle. So you're in the world of software development, and you've taken that to a whole nother level in building that business, and it's done well for you. And then you get this aspiration that you feel led to be a shepherd and pastor, build a church, and go down that path. And obviously, our backgrounds, we've always had a faith background in what we believe, and our parents have helped with that. But we've had our own time coming in and out, and where we are in life. And you hit a road where you felt it was time for you to exercise that passion. Can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, it's the craziest thing I've ever done. I was just late 30s and felt empty, had a lot of money, and kept thinking about I would literally have nightmares of waking up 90 years old and had done nothing else in my life but collect dollars. And I felt like I would be letting God down based on what mom and dad taught us. So I've always been fairly humble, but it was getting more severe because now I had kids. And that went on for 10 years, late 20s and keep in mind I was pursuing a Christian music deal by the time I quit. So I was already kind of in that realm of thinking in a ministerial kind of way, but definitely not pastoring or preaching. I was just the music guy. But it just kind of kept brewing, and I was getting what you call a burden. I was starting to have panics, and it was really bad. Right before we finally started the nonprofit, we were in Hawaii, and I was having nightmares and miserable. It was crazy. I was having panics about my wife, about my kids, a 5-hour time zone difference. This is the second time we went. The first time me and you went, we all went. This is 2 years later. We went in 2017, and I couldn't figure out why I felt like I was being tortured, and it was because I was not letting this out. It was because I was withholding it. And as soon as I finally said, this is what it's got to be, all the anxiety and panic went away. It was the weirdest thing. I thought it was because I was contemplating doing it. It's because I was withholding from doing it, was the panic and the anxiety.
Do you think it was because you weren't following the path that God had for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these Christians that think you should be poor, broke, and mean, but I think you can be blessed in that if you're trustworthy, God will bless you because, I'm not a selfish person. I'm not afraid to give. I'm not afraid to help people. But if you don't use your life to demonstrate Jesus, the money's not going to go with you. And the stuff's not going to go with you. And so that was always my fear. And then I also felt like I had nowhere for my kids to go.
Yeah.
And it was scaring me as a dad. So I'm like, all right, God, just send the pastor and we'll make this church happen. And that went on for years. And finally he said, no one's coming.
I love that you premised with the void that you thought you were going to fill with money. I have that conversation regularly. Money never fills the void. A lot of the conversations I have are obviously about, fulfillment, success, building wealth, all good things. God intends for us to prosper. He doesn't intend for us to be poor. But when you wake up one day and you've experienced some of that, and I've been down that road, and I've been blessed enough to have extra, and you wake up and you realize it's that emptiness is still there.
Yeah.
It's still there. So I think that's when you have to really look outside of where you've been focused and see if there's something else. Part of what fulfills me is this right here, and trying to get back in information and in stories of people who have gone down these paths and realize, hey, money's great. I'm all about money. It won't buy happiness, but it'll buy some cool stuff. And you can enjoy life. It'll buy some peace, but it won't buy you happiness or fulfillment.
There's a good quote you gave me years ago that I didn't forget. It says, it doesn't buy happiness, but I sure like to try to see what it feels like, what it can do, Like I'm paraphrasing, but, it may not buy happiness, but it might come close.
Yeah.
And so that's just how I keep it in check, that it's a grounding. I mean, once you take a few nice trips and you get a few nice cars, you have a nice house, you start realizing you still feel the same, that you got to have some kind of purpose that's deeper. So it's really balanced.
So I often premise a lot of the conversations with the 5 pillars that I've kind of mapped out is what I believe to be the pathway to success. And it's faith, fitness number 2, family, finance, friends. And most people, they get stuck on the fitness. What, fitness number 2? And I'm like, yeah, exactly, fitness number 2. Why? Because if you're an A-type or a high performer or somebody, like in the grind that you and I both have experienced, and there are many out there who are going through the same phase of life, what happens is they stop taking care of their mind, their body, whether at the gym or feeding their mind or putting, giving rest to their mind, whatever it may be, fitness side, and they show up differently everywhere. They show up differently with their family. They show up differently with employees for their business, everything they do. So if you can't optimize and be the best that God's made you, then you can't show up the way you need to in every other area.
Yeah.
So that's part of the pillars. So that's cool that you say that. So you realize you had that epiphany moment that, this isn't it. So you went out and you started a church.
Yeah, I mean, it went on for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, me and you kind of tested the waters with the youth thing and organic and things like that. And I still felt like I wasn't giving God everything he put in me.
Yeah.
And I definitely was not preaching. I was so scared to preach. I preached for a year at home. I wrote a few dozen sermons and would preach them after church to Michelle and mom and dad, which was horribly uncomfortable. Yeah. I remember preaching them to my wall in my office because I didn't want to, I didn't want to suck. Can I say it like that?
What did the wall think?
They were pretty nice because they don't talk back.
That's good.
But it's kind of boring because they don't, they're just a wall.
No feedback.
Yeah, I like
dry audience.
I like when people actually talk back. And what's funny when you do it, people actually make you preach better, especially when they're receiving. It's like they pull it out of you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, now it's been, oh my gosh, hundreds of times, and I don't even get nervous. And I even told the church today I used to take anxiety pills the first 6 months. Now I don't even get nervous. Just make sure I'm prepared. Otherwise, I don't want us to tell them something silly because I'm not prepared.
Yeah, and that's key. If you don't make the time to prepare for the next big thing, how can you expect to have impact? And especially in that role.
Preparation is what makes you feel good, and you're good. It's the lack of preparation that makes me panic with anything, because we're both, I would say maybe I'm more of a planner than you. You're more last minute than me. You like to do things on the fly. I'm still adapting to that.
I'm more impulsive.
Yeah, I'm learning to be more.
But you could use some of that.
Or spontaneous.
Yeah, more spontaneous.
I am getting more spontaneous in my 40s. I used to be terribly rigid. Like I just couldn't. That's what would cause me the anxiety.
Really?
Yeah, you would never know.
Yeah, so definitely you're more the one who's more cautious than I am. I think I've always been a little more
in the car. Yeah, me too.
Pretty much anywhere. I'm
in a boat, or
I had a little bit more of a wild side, I guess, than you did. But that's a good thing. It helps us kind of leverage each other. But that's cool. So now you've got a beautiful church that you've built and just about killed you, so to speak.
Yeah.
The time, the things that nobody hears about, and they only see the now, and they walk in and they see this beautiful facility with all these rooms and everything's high tech and it's just like, wow. And they don't know all the pain that you went through to get there. And they think it just showed up or a brand new church and the congregation just did it all. But the fact is, you put your money where your mouth was, literally, to make it happen by supporting it with your consulting job. That's a pretty big deal that most people, will never see.
No, I mean, the scripture's on it. What you do in private, God rewards openly. And I don't take salary. I've committed to never take salary. My dream was to build a mega church and never take a salary. That was my dream. Now I'm just like, anything will go as long as we can pay the bills. But the building, we bought a building, and it was tough. And then we did construction and went through all that. I basically project managed behind a very unqualified project manager. And so it did about kill me mentally, emotionally, physically, still getting my energy back. So yeah, it taught me limits. It's the first time I felt limits, and that maybe limits are a good thing sometimes. Otherwise, you really call it quits or burn out.
I remember a conversation we had, and I could tell you were worn. You were tired.
Golf shores.
You were fatigued.
On the phone. Yeah, I remember that.
And I think you called me because you knew you could trust me and have a real conversation, and we did. But it was one of the rare times that I ever recall that I knew on the other side, hearing you, that you were worn down, and this was different. And it was because of that project. It had been a long, long project for you that just was tearing you up, and putting a pressure on you that was extreme. I think what's cool about that is, to help some of our listeners just have context and extract the lesson from this, is, look, you can't have a diamond without the pressure. And I know that's an old cliche, but you could never be or see, and walk into this place that now exists from the fruits of your labor if you weren't willing to go through that pressure.
Oh yeah.
And although it just about, crushed you at some times because the pressure was so heavy, the reward has to be great at this point as you're slowly settling into where you're trying to be.
Yeah, there's selfish moments, and there's moments where you think more as a community of what it's doing for people. I fight that battle every day because my kids aren't getting any younger. But when you see somebody come in and connect, we just had somebody come to church. They've known about it for 8 years.
Wow.
And they just came from another church. And now I think they're going to start coming to our church. It took 8 years.
Wow.
And so, it just shows you that, you never know when God's time makes that turn. We feel like we've been building this avalanche that's just waiting to pop for all these years, and it just doesn't pop. And so after a while, you're just like, I don't know, maybe it's just not. Then people, that's so great. Oh, this is so great. And they do walk in. They think churches just exist.
Yeah.
They forget they cost money.
It takes money.
And I have tried to be so transparent. I'm like, you're never going to find a church like this. I take nothing. I pour in everything. And so I'm trying to set that example, because if people see, if we did that together, the sky's the limit. But like you said, it's a mindset, and some people never want to go there because of the sacrifice. And that's fine too. Something else you said. See, I do remember a lot of things you said. I don't know you said this, but you said something once. This is when I really was at the bottom of the building project, is they're not me. Yeah. So you start getting frustrated at people because they don't think like you. I started thinking, I built a Ferrari without a pit crew is what I was doing. And because they didn't reciprocate my passion, you start getting frustrated, but then you got to remember, they're not you.
Yep.
And God called you to do you. What they do is between them and God. So I started shifting to remember that this is about my children. And when you let the people determine how you feel, that's the devil. You've got to keep your mind on the bigger picture. Why are you doing this? This is for your family. And that's what keeps you going. And then, but yeah, when someone shows up after 8 years, they've never visited, they've known you've been there the whole time, it's pretty special.
Where you been for 8 years?
You want to say, hey, it's about time. Yeah. But you learn over year after year that people are just people, and there's no black and white answer to how they behave. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And so you kind of quit trying to figure them out, and you just say, God, I'm gonna keep going as long as you allow this to keep going.
Yeah.
And then you keep pushing forward. I call it pushing the plow.
I think there's comfort in beauty when you realize, and I had this probably about 5 years ago, and it was more in my marriage than other places. It obviously, and you said it applies everywhere, and this is where I learned that hard lesson, is I was living my life expecting others to operate at the same level that I operate. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, I have an intensity, you have an intensity as well, that doesn't always match everybody else.
Yeah.
And so it makes it hard, because you just feel like, why doesn't everybody else operate at this same intensity? What's wrong with them?
Or what's wrong with us?
Or what's wrong with us?
We need a hobby.
Yeah, there's some of that too. But, truth be told, it's the way God made us. Mm-hmm. It's the way we're wired. So I realized just a few years back when I claimed that I'm retiring, that's it. I quit, and I'd been blessed to, the businesses and stuff that I'm in, they pretty much run themselves. I stay super busy, as I tell everybody, but now it's on things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of coaching. I have a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of conversations with people that I get to help pour in. And
Conversations Left Behind.
Conversations Left Behind? That's a good plug, man.
Yeah, you should name that. That's
a great name.
Whole concept. You should call it.
That's good. Why didn't I think of that? Dang it. All right, I'll spin on that a little bit. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
But Anyway, he just totally derailed my thought. I forgot where I was going.
Well, you were saying you're now able to invest your time in your passions because you're stable in your necessity. You know, you got that balanced out. You got
Yeah, I think we were talking about some of the expectations which were on people and in the marriage and everywhere.
Their pace is,
Yeah,
you learn
yeah.
to not, that their pace is not going to meet yours.
So it created freedoms in all those areas because I started seeing everybody differently because I carried that expectation of everyone that they should have my intensity, they should have my drive and all that same thing. Even my wife, you know, so she's like, I mean, you've met her, haven't you? Yeah.
A couple times.
She's like direct opposite of me. So, you know, through our marriage, you know, I'm like the intensity and she's like, you know, la la la, you know, it's passive.
Well, that's what makes it work.
I know. It totally,
still married.
I know, I get it. It totally is. If she were like me, I'd probably wring her neck, you know? No, I wouldn't wring her neck, but you know what I mean? We would struggle to get along.
Yeah.
So when I learned that I can't expect her to operate at the level, even with taking care of daily tasks, it created a whole freedom for me that now I see everybody differently. And I just realized, hey, I'm messed up. I get it. You know, it's the way God made me. And you're pretty messed up too, by the way. So I just thought I'd share
I
that.
think you got to be a little messed up to go at it as hard as we go at it.
Yeah.
There's something else you said. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I'm going to go ahead and cut you off, I guess. You said people like us have to always be building something.
Yeah.
And I found that to be true.
Yep.
As soon as something stabilizes, like the church, you know, I mean, the boys just started a trailer business. Why? Why not?
Yeah.
It's like, so it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
To find that balance, to be happy, just being content. I've struggled with that. I always have to be working towards something or I get like almost depressed.
I always go back to Genesis where it says, be fruitful and multiply. And what I learned about myself, and I had this kind of epiphany with, you know, my wife, and I said, look, she'd be happy sitting, you know, in front of the lake, sipping a cup of coffee for retirement, and that she's fulfilled. And I'm like, I'll go crazy. I will go crazy. I have to be doing something and feel like I'm creating or I'm making some traction somewhere in my life and I'm growing and producing. Be fruitful and multiply. So it was a real good recognition point for me because it helped me see something about myself and it helped me understood that, hey, God made me this way. May not be everybody to that same, again, intensity we were talking about, but God intends for us to use, you know, what we have throughout our lives, not to go retire, sit on a couch and let the gift that he gave us rot. I love what T.D. Jakes says. He says, you know, God made trees, but he doesn't make furniture.
Yeah.
And
I like your T.D. Jakes impression. That's pretty good.
Was it? It just kind of comes out a little bit.
You know,
yeah.
Because you know you're white.
Yeah.
You're kind of tan. You're like a reddish.
Well, I haven't sunned in a while. But anyway, the point is, you know, it's something that you have to continue to do to stay fulfilled. It may not be the same thing, but so now, even though, you know, some of the businesses and stuff pretty much operate themselves, I stay busier than I ever have, and it's fulfilling to me. It's invigorating, and it helps me wake up each day and look forward to the next thing, which sounds like the same thing you're saying.
I mean, like the trailer thing, I wanted to do something kind of extreme opposite. Not to say it's simple, but it's pretty simple compared to sitting in front of a computer. And I think I did it more of a bonding to like mentor my boys into something that's more physical.
Yeah.
And it may do nothing, but it almost became like another hobby. So yeah. But yeah, it's always got to be something. Otherwise, I get bored too. I can't even sit in the movie theater without my phone. Maybe it's because I have my phone, but 10 minutes in, you know, I'm looking on Amazon or go to the bathroom or and Michelle and the kids are like, what's Dad's problem?
Well, this ought to be really encouraging to the people out there who are similar to us and feel like, you know, their minds are always going, and sometimes you feel bad for that. You feel like, what's wrong with you? And the truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. You just have to understand that some people are designed to continuously be fruitful and multiply. It's just the way some people are made. So that's good news. You just got to put it in the right direction, you know, to where it doesn't damage your marriage or, you know, something else along the way because you've allocated so much time to it that you've left everybody else on the sidelines. I think that's what's important.
Yeah, for sure.
So, man, this has been fun. I think it's cool that people get to see a side of you and me and how we kind of came up in your story and some of the failure points, and just a reminder that, you know, success always looks instantaneous or like it was always there when you show up after it's been built. But I think it's a good reminder that it always takes the fight. It always is going to wear you down, and there's always going to be sacrifice to find success, whatever success is for you.
Amen. I agree.
Yeah.
People only see the fruit, but the real time is in the dark when no one else is around.
Yeah. So, hey, if you are in the St. Louis area, is that a close enough region?
Yeah, I mean, you can come from anywhere.
You can come from anywhere?
If you want to drive that far.
Technically, where exactly was that region?
North
Is that
O'Fallon. North O'Fallon.
North O'Fallon.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like, okay. Or North O'Fallon, Missouri, but either way, there's a lot of...
Just O'Fallon.
St. Louis as a whole, if you know anything about St. Louis, I think there's 140-something municipalities. It's ridiculous, but either way, if you're anywhere in North O'Fallon or O'Fallon as a whole, One Seed Church, it's an amazing place to visit. You should check it out. This guy is the lead pastor there, and you just heard his story. So if you can't go to a church and appreciate a pastor who doesn't take a salary, who has gone through the burn all by himself, literally fighting tooth and nail to build something that wasn't just for him, but for the people to have a place to come, exercise their faith, worship, and just build their relationship with Christ, you probably never have an appreciation for our church at all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, hey, look this guy up, Jeff Gwaltney, Pastor Jeff Gwaltney. I know you have some stuff on YouTube. I think you produce some sermons that you reproduce. Is it on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere social media.
Okay, so
One Seed
what would they
Church,
search? One Seed Church?
My name or the church name, One Seed Church, spelled out ONESED Church, or Jeff Gwaltney. All the sermons are on both. And yeah, Jeff Gwaltney Facebook, One Seed Church Facebook. We have an Instagram for each and a YouTube. And then oneseedchurch.org. You can watch sermons there too.
I love it. Check this guy out. Thanks for showing up, man. It's been fun. And
thanks for finally having me.
Yeah, I wanted to save you for last, just to make sure that,
that's a good,
we were prepared. Save the best for last.
Vanessa Williams song, yeah.
Oh, is it?
You go and save the best for last.
Oh, that's great. We'll finish that up. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, man. Love you, buddy.
Love you too.
We'll see you next time.